Nice bush.
That's really inappropriate. Is the mic actually on?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So you said make a joke about foliage.
Yeah, I did say make a joke about foliage, but I wasn't expecting that.
Oh. Are there any other tree-related jokes?
I think we should just leave it there and roll the credits, to be honest.
Hello. I'm sitting here with a very embarrassed Clary pose. You should make a joke about trees. There's half of Chips right there. The vault is open. You're earning Addy Gold, and we are going to review tonight's episode, which was called, I've just completely forgotten it, In the Forest of the Night. What would you do if you woke up tomorrow morning and there were trees everywhere?
I'd say, awesome, let's climb a tree. What would you do?
Probably go back to sleep. Well, no, probably not. I'd come here and stream.
Well, given that you spent most of the day asleep, it doesn't surprise me.
I had a short nap in the middle of the day. I'd probably just come here and stream Terraria or something.
Yeah, so true.
And be more amazed by the trees that I'd made in Terraria than the tree that was currently outside the window. And I'd be
doing a big song and dance behind you. Look at the trees! And you'd be like,
Excuse me. So that was Doctor Who in the Forest of the Night. I didn't like it very much. I'm sorry. I will pick it apart, and over the next half an hour, we'll discuss the pros and cons. But I think, in my view, it was the weakest episode of the series so far. There were some nice ideas. There was the opening setup. I think was quite fun. I think the idea of trees coming everywhere is a nice kind of Doctor Who-ish type plot line that's kind of different and interesting without just resorting to robots. And we did say there were too many robots in the series.
Yeah, there were no robots.
But as a package, it perhaps wasn't for me. Yes, you're right, 99 Thermo. I will leave the puns alone. Mrs. Pose?
Yeah?
What do you think?
I don't know.
Oh, one of them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did you want to use your hand to...
I would, but I have no hands today.
Mrs. Pose is wrapped up very, very, very warm. She's like a caterpillar, cocooned in blankets and duvets.
It's cold in this house. We had a power cut. Things all went horribly wrong.
Chips is barely recovered.
Yeah. There were things that I liked and there were things that I didn't like.
Let's start all things with the positives then, shall we? Shall I go first, or do you want to go first?
You go first.
Okay, I liked the first scene with the young girl, May.
I think it was actually Maeve.
Maeve?
I thought it was
Maeve.
Yeah. But then when the credits rolled, they spelled it like something like Maebe.
Maeve. And the first scene with her, she wasn't an annoying kid. She was kind of curious and had childlike qualities of, well, I'm not particularly fazed by this, but I'm going to ask her questions and things. It was nice to have a child that wasn't just like a complete stereotype of kind of being an annoying brat. Unfortunately, the stereotypes came later, but I liked that. Your turn. Things you liked.
I thought that the idea of London becoming a forest was really, really cool. The idea of waking up and all of a sudden you're not in a city, you're in a forest. I thought that was awesome. And the fact that it was London as well, and they had like the London buses covered in leaves and I want to say pine cones, but I don't mean them. Road cones. What are they called? What are road cones called?
Traffic cones.
Traffic cones. I knew you'd know it.
We had I didn't see any traffic cones.
Yeah, there were traffic cones and places and stuff.
I like the bike that was half up a tree. Did you see that one?
No, I didn't see that one.
It was like the tree had grown and pushed the bike up.
That's so cool.
The visuals was the visuals. I thought was the opening scene where the camera kind of went up beyond the line to Trafalgar Square and then looked out over London. And that was a really nice bit of CGI. I assume it was computer generated. I mean, or kind of
photo. No, that actually happened in London.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
That must have taken quite a while to set up that shot.
Yeah. I also liked the fact that it was kind of like a mystery. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool.
It wasn't just like the straight kind of like, what do they do it sometimes? It was one of those what's going on episodes.
Yeah.
Trying to kind of unpiece it. What else did I like? I liked.
Can I just say, slightly off topic, I like your suntan today, Addy.
Am I a little bit too... Is that a little dig at my camera? I have been out in the sun. Fine. I'll adjust it. Where would you like it?
You know, those walls behind us are actually white.
That better?
Yeah, it's a bit bad.
But now I look red.
You look like the Englishman who has stayed out in the sun too long.
I'm not this red though, am I?
No, you're not that red.
I'm actually struggling to get the next thing I like. Oh, I liked the little thing where the girl was standing there and then the little eyes appeared over her shoulder.
You actually jumped
and then
at that point.
And then the camera went to the other shoulder and there were another pair of eyes there. Oh, I did jump at that bit because the eyes it was a shock and and eyes are kind of a little bit scary. And it was, I did jump a little bit.
You were like,
yeah, I did like that. You?
Did I like that?
No. Have you got any other things you like?
Any other things that I liked? No, I'm going to say no.
Why are you confused about this episode?
Well, because there weren't that many things that I disliked either. Are we allowed to move on to things that I disliked?
We can do. Should we bring in Agrajag and get kind of She? How do you not know the posse?
Sorry.
Posse.
I know that she's from Sweden.
Okay, we're bringing in Agrajag, everyone. Agrajag, who you've heard, I'm sure, on our Terraria streams, and she's one that built that wonderful Mornington Crescent in our Terraria world, and she's going to join us. Hey, Agrajag, how you doing?
I'm all right, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Can you just count to 10 so I can adjust your volume, please?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, do it in Swedish. 1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Awesome. You're good. Okay, so what do you think? And thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I really didn't like it.
Okay. Did you have anything that you did like?
We're doing our poll. We're trying to do our positives first. Have you got anything you can add to our list?
Yeah, I heard you talking about that. No. Well, I like.
Okay.
I like the kid. Actually, I was surprised that I liked a kid because the other ones were really annoying, but that one was all right, I suppose.
I quite liked the scene where the group of kids initially went into the TARDIS and you saw the Doctor's kind of like horror face. You're like, oh my god, school trip in the TARDIS, what the hell? Don't touch anything.
Yeah, it's his panicky look when he's sort of, oh no, what people in my TARDIS.
But he invites people into the TARDIS far more regularly than the other Doctors.
But does he invite large groups of small children?
No, but it
happens quite a lot in old Doctor Who. I've seen some, just here and there episodes, and there's quite a lot of people going into the TARDIS.
Oh, really? Because it's jarring me a little bit with the ease that he brings people in, because previous Doctors have been a little bit secretive about who they are and where they come from, whereas he's very much kind of like, I'm a Time Lord, this is my TARDIS, what's the problem?
Yeah. The bit where no one says, it's bigger on the inside, and no one gets surprised. That was that he's sort of really disappointed that they don't react. Mind you, there's been a whole forest growing in the middle of London, so I suppose that's
true.
Surprise.
Maybe everything is less surprising. Okay, I'm going to go for my biggest thing I didn't like.
Okay.
My biggest thing I didn't like was just the really, really, really clumsy foreshadowing everywhere, to the point that I thought you could almost pick apart the whole episode from about the first 5 minutes. There was the bit where the girl walked into the TARDIS and she said there was blah, 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 dialogue, and then there was something along the lines of, no, everyone understands everything, but no one ever listens to me. And it's like, okay, great. So she's either behind it or involved in it, or she made it. And it's like, right. So there's the next step of the plot line right there. The close up on the tiger in the museum right at the beginning of the episode. And it's like, okay, so there's going to be a tiger later on. The tree thing with the extra ring, early on, and they weren't even subtle. It wasn't like something in the background that you might be able to miss or things like that. There was just a whole bunch of things that were just like, well, there's the ending, or there's this, and there's that. And I can't remember what it was now, because obviously we've only watched it once. There was a line earlier on that also gave it away to me that the trees were there to protect. I can't remember what the line was or how exactly what it was, but very early on it was like, they're not an enemy. They're here for a good purpose. And I'm sure there were other things about the plot that people might either like or dislike, but that's just for me, that's just really clumsy storytelling. Like it's like there's no point having a mystery episode, as you're kind of calling it. I'm picking it, and then kind of basically giving
away the mystery.
Giving away. It'd be like having that Mummy episode, and having some sort of soldier thing right at the start. It was just that for me was the big groan, because groan-worthy stuff. Agri Jag, what about you? What was something you? Because you didn't like the episode. No. What bugged you?
Well, the first thing that really bugged me was they come out there at Trafalgar Square and there's no people. They heard a child scream, and they just assumed that
that's true.
Maeve, or whatever her name was.
Yeah.
And I mean, where are all the other people? I'm sure they would stay at home, whatever, but I still think a lot of people would go out and take a look at the
Central London. There should be people.
Yeah,
there should be some people around. Yeah,
so many people taking photos with their phones or whatever.
Yeah,
but there's basically just this little group of kids and Clara and Danny and the doctor, and that's it. And those people trying to burn the forest down. But that was it, and that really bugged me.
It breaks the immersion in the episode when you're forced to kind of question practical things like that. And I think sometimes a science fiction program has to kind of break the fourth wall, and you kind of accept it. But there were quite a few things tonight,
there was too many of them. And
like the whole science thing as well, like trees protecting the Earth from a massive solar flare. I'm not sure I really buy. Just from a scientific point of view, I'm not sure I'm not an expert, but I don't really buy that.
No, but that was probably one of the problems I least cared about. Sort of, I can sort of buy all this sciencey, fictive things, but not when there's something obviously just that that's not how it would be.
I know what you mean, but it was a string of them that just kind of makes you kind of go, I'm just not in the world of this episode.
The thing that actually bugged me most was the sister coming back at the end. She's been hiding in a bush outside the house for all this time or whatever. That was just, no, what happened? And then the episode ended. That was just, no, that really made me go off the whole episode. I thought it was quite bad to begin with. But it went from bad to awful.
And then it got worse.
It was just completely unnecessary schmaltz, wasn't it? It was just so...
This kid could be strange, even though her sister went missing and whatever thing. So it was a completely unnecessary storyline.
And was purely there for the... And you could see it coming as well. And I know they were obviously trying to go for this kind of like, make the audience cry, big emotional reunion type thing. But I think... As we've got three people here. I'm assuming Clary would have felt the same because she just laughed. If half your audience is just going, yeah, right, you've missed on so many levels to get this kind of emotional.
I did feel a bit like they sort of tried to make this story, and then just at the end, oh right, well the kid's sister's gone. We better bring her back before the credits, and so they did that. But
we need a mega happy cheesy ending to go with this.
But they did it so fast. They sort of what just happened? That was just no, just no.
And the other slight disbelief thing was that they kind of said, "Oh, well, a person that's lost someone spends more time listening and thinking and kind of hears things that others don't hear." It's just it's one of those things that Doctor Who kind of says. He says it very wisely, and you kind of go, "Oh yes, I see what you're saying there." And it's like, I'm not sure you tune more into nature. I don't know. I'm not buying it. Sarah, what's your?
I think that Tiny Dancer in the chat, which you'll have to scroll up to see, summed it up quite nicely when she said something was very heavy-handed.
Yeah.
And I actually think that quite a lot of the episode was very heavy-handed. So I think the bit that she was referring to was the rings on the tree.
Yeah.
It was just overstated and too obvious.
Yeah.
And even things like the scripting for me was very, I think with the children, they weren't terrible actors, but let's be honest, groups of children are never great.
Yeah.
When they had lines like, don't you know, everybody who's in love has fights.
Yeah.
And it just comes across as too overstated and too much. And the same,
kids don't talk like that.
Kids don't talk like that. And the same at the end when the sister came back, it was just too over the top and too explained and too kind of in your face. So there was nothing there was nothing kind of mysterious about the whole thing.
No, other than the kind of slight mystery of why the trees are there. But there was that also weird bit in the middle. I mean, weird's the wrong phrase. You know, when the Doctor kind of realised that the Earth was under threat from a solar flare, it kind of came up very, very quickly, and all of a sudden he was just like, "Oh yeah, the whole world's going to end." It was just a very sudden
And Clara adjusted to that really quickly,
and then got a cunning plan to get the Doctor to the TARDIS. Straight away.
And like, all of a sudden, the whole world was ending, and the Doctor was going to go off, and Clara was going to die
because there was no way he could do anything about it.
Yeah, with like virtually no emotion attached to it at all.
I mean, bearing in mind he's managed to literally pull the Earth. Was it Journey's End?
Yeah, proper Superman moment.
Proper Superman moment. He pulled the Earth out of its orbit. I mean, if there's a big sonic flare coming, and he's done that in the past, just pull the Earth out of the way of the sonic flare and put it back afterwards. Yeah. I'm not saying that's an easy thing to do, but within the realms of the things that the Doctor has actually done before,
instead of just giving
a big object hurtling towards Earth is not a problem. Yes, it was very, very, very heavy-handed.
But they've had sort of.
So sorry, Agrijo, before you carry on, I'm just going to reset the questions here, guys. If you've got something to say about the episode, especially something positive, because I think we're being quite negative at the moment. If you guys have got anything you'd like to say about the episode, use !question and put your comment, and we'll read some out in a few minutes. Especially some positive things, because I don't like being all negative about things. But yeah, I'm really struggling with this episode a bit. Positive. Oh, go for it.
The trailer for next week's episode is awesome.
It does look good. Yet. It's not too spoiler heavy. I mean, it tells you who the enemy is, and it tells you a couple of little teasers, I guess. But I don't think I wouldn't call it a spoiler trailer, as far as I can tell.
Right.
It's reasonably safe to watch.
Yeah, next time I like to be completely spoiler free as far as I can. I live in Sweden, so it's all right because there's nothing about Doctor Who on the newspapers or on telly or anything. So
I agree with you, and I've in the past I have complained about, especially the Time Heist episode. I complained about some trailer stuff, so I'm with you on this one. But I'm not going to pause the episode before the trailer. I can't get to the things that fast. But it's
every time it says next on, it's hit the spacebar button as soon as. So I won't see anything.
But I do get the there's actually someone else saying here that Alpha 1812 is saying the best bit of the episode is the next episode trailer, and that you haven't enjoyed an episode when that comes up.
Something seriously wrong with the episode you just watched.
Yeah.
I have to say, so far this series I've liked Danny, but today, you mentioned the heavy-handed thing. Today, this mega, it's all about the kids thing is coming along, and then the fact that he found out that essentially Clara's been kind of cheating on him with the Doctor, not romantically cheating, but lying to him, being dishonest. And that's quite a big thing, and I kind of liked the way he found out about that and was looking pretty miffed about it. And then right at the end, he was just like, well, just let me know. It's mysterious, and he just didn't seem all that bothered about it. And it was like, no. I mean, I think they've actually damaged his character in tonight's episode in that they've made him, sometimes characters just are kind of too nice or too, like, where's his balls, quite frankly? Where's the...
What, you can't like children and have balls?
No, it's not so much the children thing, it was the way he folded to Clara at the end. He seemed happy about it. I mean, he was obviously kind of challenging her and kind of saying, you need to be honest with me, but he wasn't angry. And I think actually she's betrayed his trust there. She's lied to him about where he's been and about where she's been and things like that. And it damages his character because it makes him look too in love with her and too willing to accept anything.
Okay, slightly off topic, but not really.
Yeah.
Do you think that she should have to answer to him about where she is?
No, not necessarily, because they're not married or anything like that. But I do think if she's told him that she's not doing stuff anymore, then that's actually dishonest. I don't think he owns her, and I don't think that's not where I'm going. I don't think that's where he's going for. But she's deliberately keeping things from him. What do you think, Agrijack? What did you think of Danny in tonight's episode?
I'm not too fond of the storyline, to be perfectly honest. I think it's a bit of a weird one. But, I can sort of see, I don't really understand the thing with Clara pretending that he has a problem with her spending time with the Doctor when it's basically just her. not knowing if she wants to or not, so she blames him in a way. But in this one, he was sort of just... if someone lied to me like that, I would probably be a bit upset about it and tell them that. But he just sort of, well, fine, do what you want to do.
It made him less. It just made him less interesting. Laura, it's still transmitting fine from me. So whatever is going on, I can see a few people having Twitch issues there, but it's not from what we're sending, I'm afraid. So we will just carry on as we are. We had another little Missy cameo.
We did have Missy cameo.
Which again told us nothing new.
No, but it looks like we might find some things out next week.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like next week. I mean, they said open the. So I hope this doesn't spoil things for you, Average Now. But the beginning of the trailer, it called it the finale. So I assume she will appear in the finale.
Well, let's hope so. Otherwise, that is a lot of wasted cameos.
Yes, that is a lot of wasted cameos. But it still didn't tell us anything else. So I kind of refer back again to what I said last week, in that I need more from her really to be interested in the cameo. Mm-hmm. Are you into the whole Missy thing, Agrajag?
I'm not sure. I mean, I quite like that we've seen so little of her. It does make the little cameos a bit pointless, but that it doesn't spoil anything for the great reveal in the finale. And I just hope that the expectations, the actual thing will live up to the expectations, sort of.
This is true.
Because there's so many.
I mean, it doesn't have to.
I don't really read most Doctor Who pages at the moment, but sort of just in my own head, that what I think about what could this be all about and things. So you get sort of really big ideas, and then.
Well, the only clue we've had so far is that she's got something to do with the afterlife and some kind of connection to Clara, because she said, we chose her well, which does give various kind of possibilities. Is Clara dead? Is was she returned from the afterlife, or is she, I don't know, Satan? Is it kind of some sort of odd way? Right, let's get some statements from the audience. I'll just half on to this one. Danman 05, I can't read all the numbers, I'm afraid. Danman says, "Who do you think Missy is?" It's an interesting question. I guess. I don't think that she's like an older Clara or anything like that. I think the looks is too far away and things like that. And Doctor Who rarely taps into the religion thing. So despite what I said, I don't think she is like a devil type of figure. Especially as she uses technology as well. You can see her with computer screens and things like that. That would be a bit
disappointing if she turned out to be the devil or whatever. That would be very disappointing.
To be honest, if she turned out to be the devil, I wouldn't, as long as it was fun and it worked, I wouldn't mind, because, they've done a devil type thing before, and
I didn't really like that.
I think
with
all things, it just depends how it's done. There's been various people there are other characters from Doctor Who's past that she could, in theory, be a part of. A regenerated master might be quite fun.
Yeah.
I'm a girl, or something like that. Or there's Rani. There's another Time Lord in the past that she could possibly be. But I don't. In a way, I'd like it to be someone new. Really, you don't always have to keep paying tribute to your past.
They do a lot of that. They do bring a lot of old characters back. So good.
They do, and that's fine, because it does give us things to talk about and things to get excited about, but it doesn't necessarily. I still really don't like Peter Capaldi's star T-shirt. What do you think?
His star T-shirt?
Yeah.
It's like a big disco ball he's wearing.
Oh, I see. I don't mind it.
Oh,
it's just a bit weird. I just noticed it in this episode, but I know he's had it on before. But it's just, what is he wearing?
It's like he's gone from this kind of quite snazzy suit to a sparkly T-shirt.
Yeah.
I don't even think I can picture it, to be honest.
It's very weird. But it's almost like they're kind of gone, he's too old. I know, how can we make him look younger? How about a T-shirt? Wait, no, how about a sparkly space T-shirt? Hang on, let me see if I can Google a picture of it.
It looked like, in this episode, it looked like he had sort of a T-shirt with just holes in it, or I don't know what he'd done with it, but been through a hedge or something with it, just full of little holes. But I think that was the stars.
Yeah, I think it was the stars, but I don't think it's a good look for him. as he says, completely failing to find a image of the T-shirt. Oh well, whatever. Let's get some more comments. Ghost Freaks asked who will be the next Doctor's companion in Series 9. I don't know. They can. I don't know. I don't think Clara will still be around. I think her storyline is definitely on an arc that leads to.
It feels like it's going somewhere, doesn't it?
Yeah. It would, and I think for her to continue. I mean, it looks to me like she's going to end up choosing Danny over the Doctor. Would be my guess, but how that pans out, who knows?
I wonder if she might. I don't know. I'll have to wait and see.
Well, although with the whole becoming the Doctor thing, the addiction thing, she might choose him over him. But who knows? Who knows? Clara Who says the 45-minute story only existed for that 26 seconds trailer. This is not a popular episode tonight. There you go. Here's a positive one. 99 Thermo says the Doctor with children, hilarious. The setting, the idea of the enemy is humanity and enemy to nature. True. What about an enemy you can't complete with trick? The CGI, seriously seeing the whole city was beautiful. Clara, Danny, the Doctor, and all the children all together. A few discussions. The Doctor being a part of our world. Last of the kind stuff. The trees helping. Yeah, I like that. So that was all the pros from 99 Thermo. And yeah, I think I actually agree with most of his pros actually. Although I do think the humanity being an enemy to nature thing was not fully developed there, because I think it would be more interesting to have a full-on humanity versus nature type episode, like the trees are coming to get you. I mean that could be actually quite scary. The trees are coming to get you.
Seeds of death or doom, death. I think
they've done that before.
Yeah, the Tom Baker one where they bring a pod back from the Antarctic and it takes over a house and almost the world.
Oh, I see. Well, I still think that would be quite cool.
Yeah,
Actually, wasn't that? And I agree with his point about the few discussions, the Doctor being a part of our world, last of the kind stuff. That was a bit of quite a cold line from Clara, wasn't it? You know, I don't want to be the last of my kind, and have his face being a bit like, thanks. He says, if you put Clara, Danny, the Doctor, and the children in the same episode, make them interact. The arc of tension, because it didn't really exist. Yes, I agree with that. And I think that was the problem with the whole world ending, is it never really felt like it was under threat. There was it wasn't even dramatic music, or, you know, I think if they wanted to have that whole, the world is about to end stuff, they needed to have that solar flare like appear right at the start with a countdown clock, having the Doctor going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But actually it didn't appear like that. The solution to the problem felt pretty clumsy, although I didn't get the foreshadowing Addo talked about. Fair enough. Thank you for your very detailed comment there, 99 Thermo. That was nice. And he's now changed his comment to say humanity versus nature would be as scary as hell. I'm sure horror movies must have done that in the past. I think Doctor Who could do that quite well. I'm sure he'd negotiate some sort of truce. Small Blue Monkey says... Small Blue Monkey's giving a prediction about next week's episode. I think we'll move on from that one. Doctor Who 9978 said, I love the way London in the Forest was done. I agree, up to the point that I agree with Agrajag that it needed more people.
It looked very pretty. I mean, I wouldn't mind going there. It looked very nice, but yeah, where are all the people?
There wasn't actually enough buildings, and obviously,
no, that's true.
You know, it was a set, and you know they had to have freedom to kind of walk around. But London actually doesn't have big gaps between buildings. Like, where the hell were they?
Yeah, that was also a thing I sort of noticed during the episode, that they said that they should try to keep on the path. Surely it shouldn't be that difficult if you're walking down a street, because there'll be buildings in either side.
It's the bit where the building isn't.
Exactly.
Speaking of London, just to go slightly off topic for a second, the Addy meetup happening in February. There are now quite a few people saying they're going to come a bit quite long distance, including Agrajag herself.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I know.
Told me.
Agrajag, would you like to confirm?
Yep, I'm coming. I booked my tickets today.
But some people are talking about how long they're going to spend in Cardiff and how long they're going to spend in London. So please, if you're thinking of coming and you're thinking of staying longer than just the Addy meet itself, get on our little Facebook group page and kind of express your kind of intentions and discuss with other people, because you don't have to, but you might want to meet up with other people either still in Cardiff or in London. And although we're we are announcing that we are doing the Addy Meet. We are not responsible for the rest of you guys kind of meeting up. So we've made the Facebook group page so you guys can talk to each other. So I'm not speaking to AgriJag, I'm now speaking to everyone. We've made that face group page so you guys can communicate with each other and arrange any kind of future meetings you want to do, or maybe synchronize your times in London and Cardiff and things like that. So if you want inviting to that Facebook group, then email theadiposetv@gmail.com or just add adipose on Facebook, and we'll get you in.
Yep. You need to add Adipose on Facebook and send us a message on Facebook saying.
We've made the group.
I think skymandr sent a friend request for you today.
Cool. We'll get him to message me, and I'll add him to the group. It's very exciting. Thank you so much for coming, AgriJag.
Nice.
Are you thinking you'll London it as well?
No London this time. I've been to London so many times that I'm going somewhere else this time. It's going to be fun. And maybe do some fossil hunting if it's not absolutely freezing. But we are Swedes.
maybe
so,
a little cold.
It will be quite cold.
We're used to it.
And if you do find any, you won't be able to pick them up because they'll be frozen to the floor.
Exactly.
Matthew191 says, another brilliant episode. Love the story in tonight's episode. I have now changed my mind about the Missy plot. If I had to describe the episode in one word, it would be extraordinary.
There were quite a few people talking about the episode right after it finished that were really, really positive about it. So,
well, one thing I've really, really discovered from doing these review shows is that you can have such different opinions on the same show. Mm-hmm. And you can't say it's a bad episode, it's a good episode, because there will be someone else that thinks the exact opposite. Yeah. It is just shades of your views. ICT Welpy. Love the way the children asked if they could take a selfie even after meeting all the tiger and the wolves. Yeah, the way Doctor Who's trying to plant itself in the modern world, and things like selfies and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. Why didn't the growth of the trees all over the planet cause any damage? They had to grow through the street. Fair point. Mm-hmm. Although when the trees kind of vanished at the end, that kind of implies more that they'd been placed on the top rather than grown through, which might.
That's how it looked on the root or the branch that the girl pulled off.
Oh yes, fair point. Yes, so I think they probably Figaro's answered that one in there. There were no roots. They didn't grow through. They were placed by those creatures that had been there since the dawn of time, which the Doctor had never spotted in the rest of his entire time of being on Earth.
Then again, the statue did topple over. The big Nelson's column thing did, for some reason, just fall over.
That's true, which again implies a bit of a contradiction within the. Within its own world. It's one of the things. It's like whatever kind of science way they want to go, or kind of what setup they want to do, it needs to be consistent within itself. Tiny Dancer says that she's pretty sure it's holes in his shirt. Well, maybe they're going for the kind of dominatrix look with him. I'm not sure. Agent Hulock says time is being rewritten again. Do you think this is something to do with Missy's plan or not? I don't know. But. I don't know, the Doctor kind of Earth seems to get almost wiped out quite a lot.
It does,
and the Doctor people often seem to say things like, "Oh yeah, but I've seen the Earth and the future," and he always seems to be a bit like, kind of like, "Ah, yes,
wibbly wobbly time,
and it's just a bit like, surely you'd spot this, because there was no fiddling about with time today. Like it wasn't like the Daleks had travelled back in time to change the past. That solar flare would have been a predictable historical event, I assume.
Yeah.
Skymandr says, public service announcement, according to spaceweather.com, there is an 85% of solar flares this weekend and hence auroras.
Oh.
Northern Lights, Southern Lights, all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
Owen disliked the very lower level of emotions from the kids. Pikachu liked the absurdity of getting from Kensington to Trafalgar in about 5 minutes.
There's no traffic. It would make it easier.
True. Agnitti says, I feel I'm missing something, but wouldn't adding a bunch of oxygen to the atmosphere fuel make it really, really burny? The part where the trees held back oxygen to avoid being burnt make a bit of sense, but adding a giant flammable layer doesn't seem like it would help.
I suppose it could be a bit like the Sontaran episode where the Doctor ignites the whole atmosphere thing and does no damage to anything on Earth.
Yes, I guess that's the idea. The idea, I guess, was it burned up in the atmosphere, and so I saw where they were going with it. But for me, it's the weakest episode of the series so far. In that we were very struggling to find positives with it. But I liked the setup. There was the acting in it again was kind of fine, but it, and also the development of character from, say, Clara and Danny and Doctor was weak as well. I mean, you wouldn't say you learned anything new about any of those characters tonight. Filler, I think. Filler. Any final thoughts, Mrs. Pose?
Can't wait for next week.
Woohoo! The finale begins. Any final thoughts, Agrijo?
No. It's just like you said. It's sort of just waiting. It's just an episode. Oh, we need an episode before the big finale thing. That's a bit how it felt.
If you're going to have a Duff episode, it's probably the best week to put it. You know, people have already been established in the series. People are either watching this series or not. It's not really going to stop any people watching. You've got the finale next week, which is going to bring people back anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if they knew. I mean, assuming let's just assume it was a Duffer episode. I wonder if they knew before it went out that it was a Duffer episode or not. I wonder what Legacy's going. I wonder what Doctor Who Legacy's going to do this week. I guess they can't really have us versus trees or solar flares.
Yeah, they could.
They can.
Okay,
of course they can.
I reckon they must have known it was a Duff episode. I mean, Peter Capaldi is a good actor.
Yeah,
he's been in some good stuff. He must have known when he stood in front when they were like filming that bit where they were standing in front of the girl who was coming back right at the end. I know he wasn't in that scene.
Yeah.
He must have known.
That would be cheesy. And also the girl that was like waving the things away from in front of her face. When she was running, it looked stupid, and then when later on she looked stupid as well. I mean, I think her acting actually for a kid was actually pretty good, but I don't think you can do that realistically. Wave things in front of your face. You just look.
No, but I think that was sort of part of the thing that she was on pills. She was considered a bit mad after her sister disappeared. So I think it was just.
It's fine though. They brought her sister back. She was in the bush.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Just looking at everyone through the gaps.
Just looking at everyone from the bush.
Yeah.
Right. So that was that. That was Night of the Forest or whatever it was. Apparently there was some. I looked at a quick review before we came on. Apparently there were lots of links to some old kids' TV series as well about a night in the forest and things like that. So there may be an entire analogy we've missed off. But it still has to be entertaining in its own right. Just like the Orient Express thing clearly had Poirot links, but it still needs to be entertaining in its own right, regardless of whether you know the links or not.
Okay.
Anyway, we're heading off. Agrijack, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for letting me join.
Do you have any blogs or websites you'd like to quickly plug?
Not really, no.
Okay, in that case, thank you so much for coming. And for the rest of you, obviously, there'll be more streams and YouTube videos throughout the week. Thank you for coming, and we will see you guys all soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.